It ain't for wussies.
Kind of wonky. Boy, it's nice, but boy, you bet there's moments of clarity.
So I wanted to tell you,
So fabulous.
this last week I did a production of Hairspray. I've actually done two this
with Dr.
this spring
Joe.
with the
From
one with
Palm
Dr.
Desert.
Joe. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a hoot.
That's, yeah.
I mean, he's a hoot, but him as the character, woof, woof.
Or
But that's the idea. It's supposed to be like this kind of scary looking woman,
Yeah. Living in the moment, living that energy, and living in that joy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
music-
do you know Lizzie? She sings out there every Sunday, but she was one of the characters too. And Scott, the music director.
I've Scott from Palm Desert.
Yeah.
I know him from having been in Palm Desert for 10 years. I don't know him, but I know him.
Yeah, he's like my brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've known each other for a very long time, and
Cool.
he's on all my recordings and all that stuff. And he played too. So it was kind of the Palm Desert family was there.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep. Yep.
It's good hanging out with spirit wherever it shows up. And then that word trust. Trust.
Right. It's like
That one is.
it sounds good except when you have to do it and you don't feel it. Yeah. Well, sure, I trust it. It's fine. Yeah. Growth and change is never easy. And it's springtime.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Evonne Fowler, one of the practitioners here, and I'm going to lead meditation. It's so interesting. We just had a class on Science of Mind, the one you see on the screen right now, and we talked about meditation. Well, we know that meditation is actually listening to God and accepting what God has to say to you. There's many different kinds of meditation, but I guess the more we are quiet and we allow the God to come to us and hear what has to say, that's what we should be doing. In the meantime, I'm going to be discussing two things. The Science of Mind is my Bible, and today it's called Renewed in Spirit. And so I'd like to just give you a couple of things that you might want to listen for as God speaks to you during meditation. Martin Luther King said, "Our Lord has written the promise of resurrection, not in books alone, but in every leaf in springtime." Isn't that beautiful to think that we have resurrection every spring, every day, because that's just what it is? And then Ernest Holmes says, "Easter is the glad remembrance of an everlasting spirit within us. It is the resurrection of the body of our affairs from the tomb of confusion." So let's just take a deep breath and go into that silence and find that deeper part, the sanctuary. We know God is everywhere, but wherever you want it in the body. And just in silence, open and be receptive to the guidance from Spirit. In the silence, we can hear more clearly what Spirit is guiding us. We talked about divine right action and what it is. And perhaps it's just opening up and being accepted to what intuition, what God, what Spirit is telling us, is sharing with us, is guiding us. And on this holiday, Easter, the resurrection of Christ, the resurrection of our own souls, our own mind, to knowing that God already knows what we want, what we need, what we have. So we listen for the answer, we listen for the guidance, and so it is. Thank you for joining me in meditation today. Our service will start at 10 o'clock.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Y'all know this. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. It's getting better every minute. It's getting better every day. Getting better every minute. Getting better every day. Well, I know a man, he's got more troubles than you do. He lives his life mouth to hand, like an Indian guru, and he never complains, and he never looks back. Whoa, whoa. And when he talks about tomorrow, it's a matter of fact. It's getting better every minute, getting better every day, getting better every minute, getting better every day. Well, I read the news and I watch the TV, and it gives me the blues and sometimes heebie-jeebies. The channel of peace, watch that one, being sent from above, and it's bringing us this message on the wings of a dove. It's getting better every minute, getting better every day, getting better every minute, getting better every day. It's getting better every minute, getting better every day, getting better every minute, getting better every day. If we're wise, we surely know what we feed will always grow. So I walk through my life, I do my best to be cheerful, 'cause I know it's a choice, and so much better than fearful. So when my friends smile and say, hey, how you doing today? I will choose to answer in a positive way. It's getting better every minute, getting better every day, getting better every minute, getting better every day. Can you do that with me? It's getting better every minute, getting better every day, getting better every minute, getting better every day. One more time. It's getting better every minute, yeah, getting better every day, getting better every minute, getting better every day.
Yeah. And so it gets better every day at CSL Beaumont, and especially on the days when Yankee is here gracing us with his music. So if we can give Al a round of applause. Thank you for being here this Easter day. He did a wonderful candlelight celebration ceremony for us Christmas, and now celebrating Easter with us, and getting better every day. And I think that's the Easter story, yes? It's getting better every day. And when we look at the Easter story from a metaphysical perspective, and we see beyond the fundamental of what's written on the page, we come to find a fountain of truth. And a fountain of truth beyond the fundamental limitations written on the page. And we find a fountain of truth that Scripture, when seen metaphysically, is really about the good news. And that's Easter. It's the good news of a new day coming. It's a good new day of a new day rising. And we were sharing at a meeting here this week. I said, we're gonna raise up and praise up and amaze up people on Easter service. And one of our board members said, if we're raising people and amazing people up from the dead, we're going to have people lined up around the block. So I'm not sure we're going to be raising people from the dead, but we're going to be raising from the old of our beliefs into the new of possibility, into the now of the presence, that this is a very, very good day. And so I always like to start with humor, and I've told this story before, and I will probably tell this story again because I like this story. And so it goes like this. A priest and a taxi driver both died on the same day in the same minute, and they both went to heaven. And they're waiting at heaven's gate. And St. Peter meets them at the pearly gates. And he says, come with me to the taxi driver. And he gives the taxi driver a gold staff made of gold in the finest silk robe. And he walks the taxi driver to a beautiful mansion with an oversized, heated Olympic pool and a bowling alley and a movie theater. And the taxi driver says, thank you so much. I feel so welcome in the mansion of heaven. This is better than my wildest dreams. And St. Peter returns to the pearly gates, and he turns to the priest, and he says, come with me. And he gives the priest a raggedy old wooden staff with splinters on it and a burlap sack cloth robe. And he leads the priest to a little old dilapidated shack with a tiny old television. And St. Peter turns to go. And the priest says, I believe you've made a mistake. He said, you're mixed up. Shouldn't I, the priest, be the one who gets the mansion and the swimming pool? After all, I was a priest for 40 years. I went to church every Sunday, and I flawlessly preached God's word. Yes, that's true, says St. Peter, but during your sermons, people slept. And when that taxi driver drove, everyone prayed. So I think we were talking in our Science of Mind study group today about the power of prayer and how does meditation work into prayer. And we kind of discussed around meditation takes us to that place of contemplation within, to that quiet place of contemplation where we're not talking to God, but we're listening to God. And when we listen to God, we hear an entire different message than when we speak from our own way of thinking, our own way of being, and our own beliefs and values and attitudes. And I think that's the Easter story. I think the best part of the Easter story today, if we can come to a new way of listening, a new way of seeing, and a new way of being with the Easter story, then it will truly be a good and better day. Now, Scripture states that it's done unto us as we believe. And I like to believe at CSL Beaumont that we pray well with others. And one of the ways we pray it forward at CSLB is by welcoming our first-time guests. So by a show of hands, do we have any first-time guests or people who haven't been here in a few years, maybe haven't been here in 3 or 4 years? Okay, we've got quite a few first-time guests. We want to make you welcome. We're very glad to see you today. And so I'm going to sing you our welcome song. And here's how it goes. And so if you listen to this from your heart, from that contemplative space of the quiet in your soul, and hear this in a whole new way, we know who you are. You are loved. You are loved. We see your perfection. Namaste. Recognizing your true spirit, we honor you today. Welcome home. Welcome, Om. Namaste. Thank you for being here on this Easter Sunday. And so in that welcoming spirit, that welcoming Easter spirit, there was a gentleman named Isaac Luria, and he was a Jewish mystic from the 1500s. and also the story of the prodigal son both speak of welcoming people home. Welcoming them home to the heaven of our hearts, not just to the building of our sanctuary, but to the heaven of our hearts. And Isaac Luria and the story of the prodigal son is not just about welcoming people home to our physical building or welcoming people home to our family. It's about welcoming people home into our spiritual family, into that spiritual place in our heart, that spiritual place in our soul, that spark in our soul, that light of love in our heart that becomes the light of love that we become in the world. And Larry assured that by breaking bread together, when we break bread together, and this is in many, many faith traditions, we breaking bread together here with the beautiful Easter brunch later on, but Luria shared, and if you can listen into this and see into this and be with this in a different way, when you break open bread, fresh baked bread, what do you smell? That fabulous aroma, yes? It fills the room. You crack open a fresh baked roll, it would fill the sanctuary. And he said not only did it fill the sanctuary, but he said the sparks of heaven, the sparks of the cosmos, the sparks of all of the stars of the universe were contained in that bread. And when we come together to break bread open, all of the sparks of the universe infuse the sparks of our soul that become the flame of love in our heart, that become the light of love in the world that we become. And so when we break bread together, we're inviting all of the stars and all of the sparks and all of the laws of heaven into that cosmos within our soul, into that consciousness within our heart, and to that oneness of the light of love that we are. And so I like to see the unity of love's light, and that's what we're talking about, is the unity of love's light today, yes? Not the diversity, but we're talking about many people of many faces, of many races. Take a look around today. Many faces, many people from many different places and many different races, but we all come together in the language of love. That's science of mind. We speak the language of love, we sing the language of love, we dance the language of love, we light the language of love. And I like to see this oneness of the unity of love's light, and I like to see it this way. There we go. The unity of love's light. And I like to see it as candle is to wick is to flame. So is our love to the light of the world. As the body, our candle, our body being the candle, and our soul being the wick, and our heart being the flame, that becomes the light of love in the world that we become. So candle, wick, and flame is one. And the Easter story is a metaphysical in terms of releasing the old, making welcome the new, and rejoicing in love's light in the now. We're talking in our Science of Mind study group. This is about rejoicing. This is about celebrating. This is about being joyous on Easter. It's the joyous of a new way of being, a new way of seeing, and a new way of becoming. And so we light our candles of faith behind us. And we light all of those candles of faith, and we honor shamanism. We honor Hinduism. We honor Taoism. We honor Judaism. We honor Buddhism. We honor Christianity. We honor Islam. We honor Baha'i. We honor New Thought. And we honor it all with our unity candle. This is our unity candle, the one candle that reflects the light of love that we all are. And we lit all of those candles of all of those different aspects of religion with this one candle, signifying that one light of love that all religions have at the heart of their teaching, the one light of love that each of us has at the heart of our being, and the one light of love that is the light of love of this cosmos and this universe and this consciousness. And so part of Easter for me is taking this unity candle, lighting the flames of faith, but we also want to unify the me that I am as Michael. I want to unify that with the we that we are as a spiritual community, with the oneness of the light of love of that universal truth of Christ consciousness, that consciousness of love as all and all as love. And Ernest Holmes says of that love heals, love forgives, and love makes whole. And I want you to recognize and see in a new way the importance of the order of those words of Ernest Holmes. He said, love heals. First, it heals. And from that healing place that we come from, we then forgive, because we can't forgive until we're healed. So Ernest Holmes says we love ourselves first into a state of healing. And from that state of healing as revealing, we come to forgive any trespasses against us, and we come to see in a whole new way the only trespasses against us were the trespasses that we brought against ourselves. No one can trespass against us. We are the only ones who can trespass against ourselves. And Annie Lamott says, my mind is not a safe place to trespass alone. And isn't that true for many of us? Our mind is so busy and so active that we can't be quiet and we can't be present with Spirit. And so the unity candle, unifying all of these flames of faith, it also unifies in our Science of Mind teaching the me that is Michael. And so we light this, or maybe I better get the lighter. Is that back there? Where'd the lighter go? Hiding back there? If not, we'll do our best to light this. Anyone have a lighter on them? Huh, now this went out. So Amy's going to run and get a lighter. Perfect. Amy has a lighter. So what I want you to see about this unity candle, when it went out in your mind, did you see it? It's still lit. That's the power of our Science of Mind teaching. The candles in the world may go out, but the candle of the light of love in our soul never goes out. And so if it appears to go out in the real world, it's always lit in the imagination of your mind. And that's our Science of Mind teaching. So that was the candle of me as Michael. This is the candle of we as a collective community. This is the candle of we as one. And this is the candle of love is all. That oneness of love is all. And so from the unity candle, and the unity candle within our soul are those sparks that Luria talked about, those sparks of the cosmos that happen when we break open a roll of bread. And those sparks of the cosmos rise up, right? Sparks, embers from a fire, campfire rise up. They rise up to become the light of love in our heart. And as we open our heart through a new way of seeing and being and becoming in this Easter story, our heart opens up to a greater love than we've ever known. And I think that's our Easter story. A love beyond the me, it's all about me, into a greater love of the collective we of community, into the greatest love of that oneness of the unity of all religions, of all people, of all holidays, as one light of love. And I think that's the metaphysical Easter story. And a story which represents the metaphysical aspect of the Easter story so beautifully, and we've told it before, but it's worth telling again on Easter, is the story of Ubuntu. How many people have heard it? It's a beautiful story, Ubuntu. There's an African village that doesn't have the internet. They're just a remote village. They've never been discovered by civilization. And an anthropologist discovers them. And he lays out a basket of fruits and foods and delicacies at the center of the village on a table. And he invites all the children of the village to circle around that table at a distance. And he said, whoever runs fastest and gets to that table of this delicacy of goods and fruits that are so beautiful and so luscious, they're a gift the children have never seen. Whoever gets to that table first gets all of those gifts. Whoever runs fastest, whoever gets there first, all of those gifts are to the fastest runner. And he goes, ready, set, go. The children form a circle around the table. They hold hands. They close in on the table together, equal distance. They come up to the table, surround it in the light of love that they are. They break open bread, and the sparks that Luria talks about, the sparks of love in their soul break open. The flame of love in their heart breaks open. They become that light of love, and the anthropologist from Western culture says, I don't understand. In my culture, he who is the strongest, he who is the loudest, he who is the fastest, he who is the richest gets everything in my culture. I don't understand your culture. And the eldest child says, but in our culture, nobody can win unless we all win. And I think that's the truth of Easter. It's not about a race. It's not about a time. And it's not about a place. It's about a state of consciousness. That state of heaven on earth, heaven within us, heaven without, heaven around, and heaven all about. It's not what's written on Scripture, it's what's written in our heart. It's that consciousness of how can anyone win unless we all win. I think that's really the Easter story. Wouldn't it be nice if we lived that story every day? Not just on Easter, not just on our favorite religious holidays, but every day. If we woke up with that affirmation, nobody can win unless we all win. And so you should have received a gift box by now. Has everyone received a little gift box? I'm hoping, a little silver or a little white gift box. And if you haven't received one, Ross will bring you one. And if you, Rowena needs one back there. Okay, anybody else did not receive a gift box? Okay. Richard, we got a few people. Jason. And so Ross is handing those out. I invite you to first receive that gift box, because to receive Spirit's love, we need to receive it, right? To receive it. And then as you receive it, I invite you to open it. You have to receive it, and then you have to open it. You have to open the gift of Spirit. And what you have inside should be 5 spiritual coins. And my talk title today is 5 Easy Pieces. And what we're talking about are the 5 easy pieces of the spiritual coin of our Science of Mind teaching. So you receive 5 coins, and those are going to represent the 5 easy pieces of our Science of Mind teaching. The first spiritual coin represents the unity of love's light that we just talked about, the light of the here and now as one with the light in the here and after. For while we are a people of many faces, take a look around at the faces here today. Take a look around. While we're a people of many faces, and look around, really look around. We're a people of many races, and we're a people from many places. We could ask where you're from. We've got people from the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest. We've got people from Europe. We've got people from all over the world here today. And then on our live stream, we have people watching, I believe, Steve Allman, one of Steve Adams, one of our practitioners at the center, is in Monte Carlo today. So Steve, hi to Monte Carlo. We have a gentleman who was here 2 weeks ago from Columbus, Ohio, who watches us online. So hi to Columbus, Ohio. Thank you for visiting us. We have people in Los Angeles. We have people in Palm Springs. We have people in Palm Desert. And I believe Rev Bev is watching us from beautiful downtown Beaumont. So we have people from all over, as far away as Monte Carlo and as close as the home of Beaumont. And so we're all one in the unity of love's light, and that's our spiritual coin, our first spiritual coin. And so the way we say that and the way we affirm that in our teaching is, I am the light, you are the light, and we are the light of this world. And that's our affirmation today. That will be our affirmation. And so today's affirmation, and I invite you to read that with me as it appears magically on the screen there, by the way of Microsoft fade-in slide. I invite you to say with me, I am the light. Turn to someone and say, you are the light. And now open your arms and say, we are the light of this world. And that's our spiritual coin. That's our first spiritual coin that I invite you to open this day and every day. Our second spiritual coin is the coin of self-discovery. The willingness, as T.S. Eliot shared, to not cease from exploration. Don't stop exploring. Don't stop going beyond and beyond and beyond. Keep exploring. And to come to know at the end of all of our exploration will be to arrive where we first started, and yet to know ourselves as if for the first time. How many people have had an experience of going back to somewhere you hadn't been in a long time, going home, going back to your college, going to visit an old friend you hadn't seen in 20 years, and while you were the same, you also recognized in that moment that you had changed so very, very much. You were who you used to be, but you're the more of who you're becoming to be. And that's what T.S. Eliot is talking about. That's the second coin of our spiritual teaching, the teaching of self-discovery. And that's the second spiritual coin of our metaphysical self-discovery of Easter. Joseph Campbell shares this of self-discovery. He says, the grail that we are looking for, yes, the Holy Grail that we are looking for, he says the Holy Grail becomes that which is attained and realized by people who have lived their own lives. You attain the Holy Grail when you live your life your way. That's the Holy Grail, being who you are in this present moment. That's the Easter story, becoming more and more and more of who you are, becoming more of the divine within, owning that humanity. But within that humanity is this great discovery of divinity. And that's what Joe Campbell talks about. He says the Grail represents the fulfillment of the highest spiritual potentialities of our human consciousness. Is that Easter? Is that Easter? The highest fulfillment of the highest spiritual potentialities of the human consciousness. That's Easter, opening to a greater fulfillment of life, opening to a greater feeling of life, opening to a greater faith of life, opening to a greater perspective of the Easter story. Not as just the fundamental story, but as the depth of the story, of the truth, of the sparks that Luria speaks about, the sparks of our soul. That as we discover ourselves, more fully discover ourselves, and more fully live as the light of love that we are, we become those sparks. We become that love, and we become the light of the world. That's our second spiritual coin, the coin of spiritual self-discovery, the discovery of the sparks in our soul, to become the flame of love in our heart, become the light of the life that we live. The spiritual discovery of the fulfillment of the highest spiritual potential of the human consciousness. And so right now, if you're here, I invite Maureen, I invite Ross, I invite Jason, I invite Sharon, I invite Evonne and Shannon to come and stand up here in front if you're seated back here. But the people I just called up, if we can have Evonne come up here, if we can have Ross come up here, if we can have Shannon come up here, if we can have Jason come up here to the front of the room. I think we're getting Jason. I think he's keeping an eye on our brunch back there. And Jason, and so what I want to talk about here, these are people who have stepped into the highest fulfillment of their spiritual consciousness. So if Jason's in the back, if somebody could grab him and let him know, I'd love to have him here. And these are people who have stepped in. They have self-discovery. And they stepped into the self-discovery of our Beyond Limits class. They just finished a 10-week intensive course in going beyond the limits of the beliefs who they think they were, and coming to discover that light of love that they truly are. Jason, come on down, Jason. The price is right. Here we go. And so we have two other people who are not here today, and we honor those people, Sharon and Maureen, I don't see here today. And they've just finished that journey, which will enter them into being able to go on to practitioner studies, which we now call advanced consciousness studies. And that means most of these people are on their way to becoming practitioners over the next year or two. Most of them have agreed to move on to practitioners. So they're entering advanced consciousness studies to discover that spirituality within themselves, that light of love that they are. And so they will be stepping into service at the center over the next few years as they do their teaching. But if you just honor them with some applause, these are people who are stepping in to that journey of self-discovery and serving this center by coming to know better who they are. So thank you. You can all be seated, but thank you for finishing that journey. We'll have certificates of completion for you from headquarters momentarily. And really what they came to explore and discover within themselves, they didn't discover it in the teaching, they didn't discover it in the text, they didn't discover it as I facilitated, they discovered it within themselves. And what they came to discover was this way of seeing rightly. Not seeing the ways of the world, not seeing through the limitations of fundamental spiritual teaching. They came to discover within themselves the light of love that they are. Our Science of Mind teaching invites you to discover, to explore, to expand, to experience beyond all of the conditions of this world, the light of the consciousness of love that you are. That's our teaching. And so our third spiritual coin, represents all of us here. It represents the everyday, ordinary man or woman or child or animal or plant or rock or river or bird. We believe it's all filled with those sparks of God essence. We believe rocks are. We believe trees are. We believe plants are. We believe animals are. We believe people are. We believe the stars in the sky are filled with that spiritual essence. And each of us in our own way, whether you're that tree that's a seed in the darkness of the ground and you can't see the light, but the light energy goes through that soil as warmth, and the warmth of that light energy as warmth allows that seed to grow in the darkness, and then it sprouts, and then it becomes this fabulous tree, and it bears fruit, and the fruit carries more and more seeds and more trees. And that's the light of the love, the many candles of love, the many seeds of possibilities, that tree of life that we are. And so our third spiritual coin represents the everyday, ordinary man or woman or plant or tree or child or rock or bird in the sky. It represents the everyday, extraordinary. The everyday extraordinary of spirit that's everywhere present. Every day, spirit's present. And what is ours to do is discover that presence of spirit in the ordinary of our days, in the ordinariness of our human self. There's this extraordinariness of the spiritual self. There's this extraordinariness of the spiritual self. And that's the path of discovery we're on. This extraordinary brings about change in the world, and it brings about change in the world by bringing about change within ourselves. The Dalai Lama says there is no other. That's the Easter story. There is no other. The Easter story is that in the dark is the light. There is no dark without the light. Within the dark of the seed in the ground, the warmth of the sunlight gets through that soil, and that seed reaches toward the sunlight in the sky. That's the seed of the soil of our soul. The soil of our soul reaches toward the warmth of the love in our heart, and it sprouts into the light of love that we are. Those seeds as sparks of God's Spirit and God's love and God's light become that flame of love in our heart that becomes the light of love that we live. And so there is a gentleman, his name is Frank Morris. How many know Frank Morris? Frank Morris is someone who came to see rightly. He came to discover that God sparked within himself, but mostly he came to discover that in the darkness is the light. In the darkness is the light. He came to discover that. He came to be present with that. And as he became present with that, his life became the presence of the love and the light that enlightened this world in an entire new way and brought about an entire new day. Frank Morris reveals the metaphysical aspect of our Easter teaching. He was on a mission of self-discovery, and his self-discovery was the self-discovery of seeing rightly from the light of love in his heart. And as he did, he became a beacon of light, a light of hope in this world for many, many, many thousands of people. When Frank Morris was 6, he lost the sight in one eye in an accident. At 16, he lost the sight in his second eye in a boxing accident. He was determined not to lose his independence or his love of life. He loved walking in nature. He loved walking in the city. He loved going to symphonies. He loved his independence. And the world at that time in the 1940s told him that he would never be able to go out again. He would never be able to ride a bus on his own again. He would never be able to travel again. He'd never be able to take a train trip again because he lost his sight. And yet, he chose to honor a higher truth, that within the dark is the light. He teamed with a canine trainer who helped him train the very first seeing eye dog. And that seeing eye dog was named Buddy. Frank Morris and Buddy traveled the world by train, by ferry, by plane. Buddy and Frank Morris traveled the U.S., showing what was possible, that in the darkest of the dark is the brightest of the bright. Frank Morris raised money through his travels, and he founded an institute, a Seeing Eye Institute in the United States. His school, and it continues to this day, is called the Seeing Eye Institute. Frank Morris became a beacon of light in this world. Over 20,000 people have graduated his school and have been paired with 20,000 seeing eye dogs, giving them the discovery of their independence and allowing them to live a life that many would seem as a dark light, as a very bright light. Frank Morris is the Easter story. Frank Morris is the candle in the wind. His flame of hope lights the flame of hope for so many of us who are having dark periods in our life. I know some of you cried yourself to sleep last night. I have cried myself to sleep a few nights this year. I'm sure I'll cry myself to sleep a few more nights. And yet, in our Science of Mind teaching, tearing is clearing. Let those feelings come up. Let those feelings come up. Cry into a pillow if you want. Go out and walk in nature and hug a tree and cry with the tree. You know, your tears will nourish that tree with its moisture. You know, from the darkest of your tears becomes the brightest of the light of hope if you let your feelings flow, because your feelings flowing will take you to a knowing that in the darkest of nights is the brightest of days. Frank Morris became that light of love, that one light of love that lit another light, that lit another light, that lit another light. And if you can imagine 20,000 candles of people with a seeing eye dog that are now seeing rightly, that are now seeing brightly, from the sparks of love in their soul that became the flame of love in his heart and their hearts to the light of love in the world that they are beyond limits, class. There are no limits. There are no trespasses against you. And there is no dark in your life in which the light is not also present. That's our metaphysical Easter message. There is no dark in which there is not the light of life and love and laughter. And what is ours to do is to discover that within ourselves. Our fourth spiritual coin is the coin of standing on the shoulders of greatness. And I thought it would be fun today on this Easter Sunday to stand on the shoulders of greatness of people who've come before us. People who trailblazed the way Frank Morris trailblazed seeing eye dogs. And these people trailblazed the path of new thought for us all. Ernest Holmes shares this of the power of our thoughts to create our lives. As our thought is opened and we behold the image of eternity within ourselves, we are changed by this image into a newness of life. Our fourth spiritual coin is the spiritual coin of the light of new thought shining brightly forth in our life. And I will now invite up our first New Thought character, who is Mary Baker Eddy. So if Mary Baker Eddy will step forward to the podium. Mary Baker Eddy is one of the people whose shoulders we stand on, the shoulders of greatness, who trailblazed this New Thought teaching. Welcome, Mary Baker Eddy.
I am Mary Baker Eddy. I was born July 16th, 1821, and lived until December 3rd, 1910. I founded the Christian Science movement. I wrote numerous books, most notably my 1875 book, Science and Health, which established a link between the power of our minds to create the physical healing of our bodies through the thoughts we think. I consider myself a spiritualist in that I believe there is a connection between the material realm and the heavenly realm, and that as we embrace the realm of heaven and earth as one, all things are possible. In 1881, I founded the Metaphysical College in Boston. I believe to this day in the power of mental healing through the revealing of spirit within. I am Emma Curtis Hopkins, a trailblazer of new thought.
And that was, I had that written wrong right thing. That was actually Mary Baker Eddy. So that was Mary Baker Eddy speaking. So that's the shoulder of greatness we're found on. And I now will call Phineas Quimby to the podium, because Phineas Quimby, as we will find out, is one of the lights of blazing trailblazers of our New Thought teaching upon the shoulders of greatness upon which this teaching stands. So Phineas, welcome to the podium.
I am Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. I am regarded as the founder of the New Thought movement. I believe in the power of metaphysical healing through the revealing of spirit within. I use hypnosis as a means of healing a patient. Yet, I also realize the power of positive thought suggestion can heal as well. The power of affirmation brings about a remarkable restoration of one's health. What we think about, we bring about. I believe that illness originates in the mind as a consequence of erroneous beliefs, and that a mind open to the wisdom of the spirit within can overcome anything. I am Phineas Quimby.
Phineas Quimby, one of the great teachers of New Thought, upon whose shoulders of greatness our Science of Mind teaching stands. And I now invite Emma Curtis Hopkins forward.
Hi.
Welcome, Emma.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Emma Curtis Hopkins. I was born in 1849 and I died in 1925. I am an American spiritual teacher and leader. I am the woman who organized the New Thought movement. I am a theologian, teacher, writer, feminist, mystic, and healer. I am called the teacher of teachers and the mother of New Thought. I taught Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the founders of Unity Church, as well as the teachings Ernest Holmes and Emily Candy. My cornerstone book was Lessons in Truth. I am considered to be the person who influenced the early New Thought movement more than any other single teacher. In 1902, I had over 1 million followers. I am Emma Curtis Hopkins, the early New Thought leader.
Over 1 million followers in 1902. Can you imagine the power of Emma Curtis Hopkins, bringing love and light and hope and truth to this world? The love and light and truth that we are all one. And when we recognize that oneness of our humanity with the oneness of our divinity, all things are possible to those who believe. Welcome to our metaphysical Easter message. And I now invite Ralph Waldo Emerson to the podium.
I am Ralph Waldo Emerson. I was born in 1803 and lived until 1882. I am an American essayist, lecturer, philosopher, and poet. I am best known for leading the transcendentist movement. I champion individual rights and the power of critical thinking. I believe in the goodness of people and the goodness of all people. I believe that nature is the perfect mirror reflection of the bounty, beauty, and blessings of heaven on earth. My essays, Self-Reliance and Nature, are still widely read today. I believe in the power of the intuition over logic, and that power of spirit on earth is manifest in us all. I am considered to be the father of New Thought. I believe the ancestor of every action is thought, and what that we think about, we bring about. I am Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Thank you, Ralph, for coming to our podium today. What did Ralph say? I believe in the individual right of every person to live the life they choose to live. Every person to live the life they choose to live. Welcome to our Science of Mind teaching. And I invite to the stand our final and last and perhaps greatest person upon the shoulders upon whom we stand. I invite Ernest Shirtliff Holmes to our podium today.
I am Ernest Holmes. I was born in 1887, and I lived until 1960. So most of you were alive when I was alive. I am an American New Thought writer, a teacher, and a leader. I am the founder of the spiritual movement known as religious science, science of mind, and now known as Centers for Spiritual Living. I am the author of the Science of Mind text and the Science of Mind magazine that is still being published. I am known as the great synthesizer because I have taken the best elements of many religions and have brought them together under one teaching. I believe that by changing our thinking, we can change our lives, and that the stories we tell create the lives we live. And that by changing the stories we tell, we change the lives we live. I am Ernest Holmes, New Thought pioneer and leader.
We have a round of applause for all of the visitors, for Emma and Mary Baker Eddy and Ralph Waldo Emerson and Ernest Holmes. And so, when you think, is this teaching grounded? I heard someone at the center this week say, I'm feeling ungrounded, or I'm on shaky ground. Someone at the center said, I'm on shaky ground. How many people have used that phrase somewhere along the way, or a similar phrase, by show of hands? I'm on shaky ground, or a similar phrase, like I'm ungrounded. I'm not grounded. So when you feel you're not grounded, I invite you to ground in our principles of love and light and truth. I invite you to ground in our practices of meditation, of spiritual study, of contemplation. I invite you to know that when you feel you are on shaky ground, that the ground upon which you stand is holy ground. It's the holy ground that these people who just visited us experienced. They experienced the sparks of love in their soul coming forth as the flame of love in their heart, and they shone forth this light of love in this world by seeing things rightly. It's said that the only way we see things rightly is when we see things from our heart. That's the Easter story. That's the Easter story of seeing things rightly, by seeing things from the love in our heart. So know when you feel the ground is shaking under you. Carl Anthony here was a few weeks ago, and he sang a song, when the ground is shaking under you, hold up the sky. Hold up your hands and know that what you're holding up is the sky and the constellation within you. You're holding up your hands to allow that flow of that energy to rise up and raise up and praise up and amaze you in the light of love that you are. Hold up the sky by holding up your arms, because you are the sky. You are the constellation. You are the constellation of love and light and truth. So you hold up the sky when you hold up your arms, because you are the sky of all of the possibilities of these New Thought leaders upon the shoulders of whom we stand. On this teaching, you are not on shaky ground. You are on strong shoulders, and you are on the solid ground of knowing that the ground upon which you stand is the ground of heaven and earth as one. When you feel you're on shaky ground, know that the ground upon which you stand is the ground of spirit. The groundedness of the celestial and the terrestrial is one. The groundedness of the dark and the light is one. The groundedness of knowing that wherever you are, wherever your feet are planted, you are growing. You are growing. When your feet are on terra firma, you're growing into heaven. And you're growing into that heaven that grows from within you. You are not growing into a heaven from without. You are growing into that heaven that lives within you. The stories we tell create the lives we live. What Easter story are you telling? It's a very good day. It was a very good way to start out. It's a very good day. What story are you telling? Our fifth spiritual coin. Our fifth spiritual coin is coming to see rightly. It's coming to see rightly beyond the fundamental words on the page of the Bible, beyond the fundamental surface stories of the stories in the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. Science of Mind invites us to move from the old to the new to the now. And in the now of this moment, we come to see the Bible as if for the first time. What did Thoreau said? Come to know yourself as the first time. You come back to where you started, but you're not the same person. You've grown. How many have experienced that? What a marvelous feeling. What a marvelous feeling. Toyota, oh, what a feeling. Many of you know I didn't pass my ministerial panels the first time, and I had a 1.5-year delay. It was really hard. It was really hard. The ground was shaking under me. It was shaking under me. And it came back and I passed those panels. But what I experienced and what they wanted me to, they didn't want me to, they desired for me. There's no wanting, because if you're in the wanting, you're going to be in the wanting all your life. You want spirit, you want prosperity, you want health, you're going to get more wanting because spirit says yes. So we want to move from the wanting into the seeding of the possibilities that we are. And when we seed the stories of the Bible with new insights, with new light, with new truths, with new possibilities, when we see beyond the surface level, when we do, as those students who came up before you today, go beyond the limits of the known, they come into this great expanse of the unknown of who and whose they are. The wedding at Cana. The wedding at Cana, as told, is a story of a wedding and a celebration. And they served the best wine first because that was the tradition. You served the best wine first to your guests because by 4 o'clock they were so drunk, you served them cheap wine, Trader Joe's wine. They didn't know the difference. If you served the Trader Joe's first, they knew it was $2 chuck, right? They knew even back then. So you serve the best wine first. Where do we do that on Facebook? We put our best face forward. I mean, isn't everybody on Facebook, oh, I got married, and I got a new car, and I won the lottery, and we put our best face forward, right? I'm not sure Facebook is telling, that's the face we put forward. But we take that face off, and we come to face who we are. That's the wedding at Cana. And the wedding at Cana, the true marriage at Cana, how many people have studied Bible history? What was the true wedding at Cana about? Not if you see it, yes. It's about, he turns water into wine is what happens. Good story. And from that, we intellectually say don't put new wine into old wineskins because the old wineskins are brittle and the new wine will burst them. So don't put old thoughts into your head. Get rid of those old thoughts, create a whole new container of consciousness, and invite in new thoughts. So that was where he turned water into wine. But what was really happening there? Jesus' mother said, we're running out of wine. You need to turn water into wine. And Jesus was still in his human self. And he did not want to accept the fullness of his divine self because it causes problems on the earth when you heal people and when you turn water into wine. And wherever you go, people who are blind see, and people who are sick are healed, and people are falling at your feet. It causes problems on this life plane. It causes problems on this life plane. So he didn't want to accept the fullness of his divinity. He was resisting. And his mother said, we're running out of wine. Go to the basement, turn water into wine. And he did. And he brought the wine forth, and it was 4 o'clock, and it was the best wine. It was better than the wine they served early. It was the best wine ever. And the people said, oh my God, our host is serving the best wine at the end. This is turning everything upside down. That's not the order of our society. Our host is breaking the order of society, the order of hierarchical rule, the order of kings, right? We're turning over the order of kings. We're turning it over. And in that moment that he converted water into wine was his acceptance of the divinity that he was. He could no longer deny it. he could no longer deny it. And so while we see the wedding at Cana as a celebration, it was truly a celebration of turning over the hierarchy of rules that no longer served, that no longer worked. They're out of alignment, love and light and truth. He served the best wine last. It threw up the whole order. Threw up the whole order. He accepted his divinity. And from that moment on, the wedding at Cana, when you see beyond the fundamental truth, when you see beyond the words on the page, when you see rightly, was about Jesus accepting his marriage with the divine. It was Jesus marrying the divine as his eternal partner. And it was the acceptance of his power. Walking on water, right? Jesus, 12 people in a boat. They're stuck. Jesus says, come walk on water. And Jesus is walking on water at night, and the people in the boat go, you're crazy. We're in the middle of the ocean. We're not going to get a walk on water. Peter gets out. He walks on water. He's looking at Jesus. He's walking on water. He goes, oh my God, I'm walking on water. And he looks down. He takes his eyes off Jesus, and he sinks into the water. And the Christ consciousness we're talking about, when we take our view off of the Christ consciousness, off of the divinity we often fall down. We sink into the water. Keep your eye on the faith. Keep moving forward, but keep that sight of faith. Keep that light of hope. Keep those sparks of divinity in you shining brightly. You'll never be in the darkness. You'll never be lost. You'll become your own lighthouse. Welcome to the message of Easter. The parting of the Red Sea. It's a great story. Did it happen? I don't know. I know many of you think I'm old enough that I was there and I can tell you it happened. I'm not that old. I wasn't there. I don't know if it happened. I don't know if it happened. What I do know in the metaphysics, whether it happened or not, it's a great story because it's the story about letting go of the left bank or the right bank or the blue bank or the red bank and getting carried into that river of freedom and letting that river of freedom carry you down. And then when you're in that river of freedom, you're parting consciousness. And what I know for myself about the story of the Red Sea, it's about parting consciousness. Am I in the light? Am I in the dark? As long as you're in the flow of life, you will forever be continued to greater and greater adventures. And the Red Sea is about the parting of consciousness. Are you going to come from your humanity? Are you going to come from your divinity? Or are you going to live as one in the river of life, as the humanity within your divinity, in which you can then walk on water? You can turn water into wine. Illusions by Richard Bach talks about the crystal river. And there's this creatures, all of the creatures are hanging onto rocks in the rush of this river because they're afraid to let go. What if I let go? What will happen if I get in the flow of the river? I'll be crushed against rocks. I'll be crushed against boulders. I'll be crushed against logs. If I let go into the unknown, I'm going to be crushed. And one creature says, well, this is really boring, hanging around with all you people hanging onto rocks, hanging on to old beliefs. I am like bored out of my mind. I'm going to let go. And this one sea creature lets go of the rock, and he's swooshed away, and oh, for sure he's dead. Oh, for sure he's dead. And he goes down the river, and there are many other sea creatures on the river going, oh, a Messiah, a Messiah. He's floating down the river. He let go. A Messiah. He must be God. We must follow him. And so when we let go of the old and make welcome the new and live in the now with the light of love that we are, it takes a great letting go. It takes a great letting go. And that's the Easter story. It's letting go of the way it was and making welcome the way it is and living in the light of love that you are. Christopher Reeves gave up on life. He was in a very dark point. This is spiritual coin number 6. You only have 5 coins. This is not in the talk. This is spiritual coin number 6. This is letting go, right? Spiritual coin number 6 is becoming the hero of our own life. Christopher Reeve entered a very dark period in his life. He was Superman on screen, but he had trouble finding that willingness to live in life. And as he was lying in the hospital and told he would never walk again, and he said he didn't want to live. He didn't want to live. And his wife came up and kissed him on the cheek. And she said to him, "You're still you. You're still you. You're still you." He said in that moment, he let go of all fear. He let go of all limitations of his physical body, and he decided to become a light of love and hope and faith in this world for so many, many, many others. There are war veterans who are now walking because of the research that he funded through his appearances. I think the Easter message, I think the message of Emma Curtis Hopkins and Mary Baker Eddy's and Ralph Waldo Emerson's, Ernest Holmes, I think the Easter message is let go of all of the things that keep you from knowing who you really are and see rightly into the truth from your heart. You're still you. You're still you. Even when you're on shaky ground. You're on holy ground. Even when the ground is shaken under you. Even when you're in that dark night of your soul. Know that light is there. And know that the message, the Easter message we've shown forth today is that you're still you. You're still you. You're still you. You're still that light of the sparks of love in your soul, that flame of love in your heart, and you're still the light in this world that you were born to be, that you chose to be, and that you still are. You're still you. And let's finish with this final affirmation. And remember, you're still you. And I invite us today to say together our final affirmation. I am the light. You are the light. We are the light of this world. And now we'll turn to another light of this world, Al Yankee, and let him bring some musical light and enlightenment into our life.
Thank you. Anyone can light a candle, but not the way that you do. Anyone could light a candle, just like a flower in the rain. You are unique, the same. Each step you take, each dream you realize will open your heart, your life. Anyone could light a candle, not the way that you do. For if we look too close, pure magic we would see, pure magic we would be. It's all around each one, it's all around within. The perfect union close inside your dreams. To watch in wonderment as each day begins. They tell me you can hear this song. anyone could light a candle, but not the way that you do. For if we looked too close, pure magic we would see, pure magic we would be.
So I want to thank Al for going with the improv. That song was a different order than I intended to have it, and Al went right ahead and played it right where it was supposed to fit in. So a lot of what happened today was kind of improv. It was kind of new, kind of experiential, and I said to Al, I was so ungrounded with trying this adventure, and I thought, play it safe and just do the traditional thing and do the announcements and do all the usual slides, and I thought, no, it's Easter. We do it differently. We got lighting bars that we hooked up last night, and I knew that they would work, and set the stage differently. And I think that's what Easter invites us to do, to set the stage of our lives differently than we've ever set it before. I think that's part of the Easter message. And if our ushers will come forward at this time, I invite us to read our giving statement together. I give and receive freely and generously with an open heart and an open mind. The universe responds to me in kind. I know that my beloved community is richly blessed. And to our love streamers online, happy Easter. You can go to cslbeaumont.org and you can tithe on our website, or you can text GIVE, G-I-V-E, 951-420-6909. We're so glad you joined us here. If you're close by, we're doing an Easter brunch with lemon butter salmon, with roasted turkey, with baked ham, all kinds of good stuff. So if you're in the neighborhood, come on down and stay for Easter brunch. We'd love to have you here, and we'd love to see you in person really soon.
Thank you for giving, thank you for receiving, and thank you for being who you are. Thank you for breathing, thank you for believing, and thank you for being who you are. The universe is flowing with love that's ever growing, and you are the vessel of that love. So thank you for caring, and bless you for your sharing. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being who you are. And remember, whatever you're walking through, you're still you. So at CSL Beaumont, we sing our way out. Al will play a song. We should have the lyrics on the screens up there. And if you'll stand, we gather in a circle, encircle the sanctuary. We hold hands if you are comfortable. And if you're not comfortable in joining our circle, you can remain seated and just join us in consciousness. So if you're comfortable, join our circle. We'll expand it. We'll hold hands, and Al will guide us in song. So you're welcome to join us. If you want to remain seated, you can remain seated, whatever you're comfortable with.
One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. All right, here we go. One
so I'm knowing that something wonderful happened at CSL Beaumont today. And that something wonderful that happened is that we came to see the Easter story as our story. We came to see the Easter story as the truth, that I am the light, that you are the light, and that we are the light of this world. And together we say, and so it is. We have a full Easter brunch back there. Please stay for Easter brunch. We'd love to get to know you if you're a first-timer. Lots of food. You can take a to-go plate if you want to do that. But come join us for a beautiful Easter brunch. Thank you so much. You just made this a wonderful, wonderful day.
Okay, everybody, if there's anybody left outside, please come on in.